year. And I've been very blessed that people who've worked with me a lot of times will refer their friends or their family to me. And so I will encounter somebody who's never bought a quarter or a half side beef before. And so I get to step them through how they get that meat cut up, how it's packaged, and then how they can use that in their menu planning at home.
So explain what my listener goes through. What would he expect if he were going to deal with you on he's going to try a local economy. He's going to try grass-fed beef. What is the protocol? He makes that first phone call to you. What happened? What are the steps that he goes through?
Well, I'll email him a copy of my cut sheet showing what sort of cuts are available, because you might like steaks, and if that's all you ever buy at the grocery store is steaks, then if you get a half side of beef, you're probably going to be a bit disappointed that there are maybe only 8 to 10 ribeyes in that half side, but there's going to be a lot of roast. There's going to be a lot of ground beef. There's going to be a lot of ribs. There's going to be, chuck meat, and there's going to be stuff that you might not cook a lot. So the first thing I talk to people about is, how do you cook beef? How do you eat beef? And what about your home food meal schedule is going to make this a win-win for both of us. I'm not interested in placing meat in a home that people are not going to benefit from it. So then we talk about what sort of space somebody has available in terms of their freezers.
Give an example.
Well, if somebody's just got a home refrigerator, they might have one in the kitchen, and then they might have a refrigerator in the garage where they keep overflow or beverages or whatever. If those are the only 2 freezers that you have on top of a refrigerator, then we're going to probably have to talk about you adding a small chest or an upright freezer in order to accommodate the volume. I have pictures that I can send of the actual volume of meat inside a particular freezer unit so that people can see if they have enough space. So that's always a consideration, is space. But then assuming that you've got a chest freezer, buying in bulk or buying things at the grocery store when they're on sale is already part of your food saving plan. Then I talk to you about, how much per pound the grass-fed beef is going to come to you at, so that you can begin to plug that into how you budget for the meals that you prepare.
Is there a general number you can throw at us?
In this current beef climate, and I always preface this by saying, worldwide, the number of cattle growing in the world is as low as it was in the 1950s. So when you shop for beef at a retail level at Whole Foods or Earth Fare or Bilo or any of those places, and you've noticed for the last 18 months that beef is climbing in price, one of those reasons is because there is less beef to harvest worldwide than we've seen in 50 years. So keeping that in mind, I tell people that most of the time in this current market, and I always qualify that because prices change, it's a commodity, I can usually get ground beef to you for between $7.50 and $8 a pound delivered. And that means that your steaks are also $8 a pound, or your roasts are $8 a pound, where you might be paying $16 or $20 a pound for grass-fed beef steaks when you go to Whole Foods. We can economize and get the overall cost per pound down to a point where it's certainly no higher than what you pay at a good quality retail location. And a lot of times you'll save a little bit. Once you taste it, though, you're realizing that you're getting a superior quality product at a better price.
So you might listener, if you're buying in bulk from Denise Burns at Burns Best Farm, you're trying something new. I want to mention a doctor who is trying something new. His name is David Redd. He runs a local economy oriented surgical practice on North Shore in the Publix shopping center, just along the side there. And he does all kinds of light surgery, moles and skin tags and cuts of things like that. And he doesn't take insurance. This is what is novel about David Redd, and he is a pioneer here in Chattanooga. There are 4 or 5 doctors who are in this direction. They've discovered local economy, and they are cash. They're cash players. His prices are published online, and he takes cash or check or credit card. Now, you can find out about him at on his website. It's quicksurge.com. That's QUIKSURG.com. And his name is David Redd. And he is a local economy response to a dysfunctional national insurance scheme that's being made worse by recent legislation. Also, I wanted to mention while I'm thinking about it, Advantage Printing, where I get my printing work done. I'm an editor of a homeschool newsletter, of which I'm just in the throes of production now, just about to start. And we have work done at Advantage on Brainerd Road near the Belvoir Light. Alan Jones is your man. Call Alan at 629-1800, 629-1800, and you'll be very well treated there, as I have been for some long time. The show here is Nuganomics.com. We're talking with Denise Burns. She has 4 children. You have Cooper, William, Eston, and then there's one more we want to mention. Her name is Zaida Kate. Tell us about breakfast and Denise Burns at your farm in Ringgold, and tell us what Zaida Kate does when she rushes away from the sink after having plopped her plate down in it.
Zaida Kate is the youngest member of our family and the only girl, and she probably gets away with a little less intensely focused work than the boys do. But she is very helpful with the chickens. She is my egg gathering child. She knows where all the secret places where they hide. She takes care of the pets. We have a dog and a cat. Cooper also takes care of the dog because the dog is sort of his. But Zaida Kate is very kind and sweet to the dog and does a lot of hair brushing. I guess when you don't have a sister, then the only hair that you can manage is on the dog. So she does that. And then she's also really good at picking berries. She eats about as many as she picks. So we're still in that stage where net, it's a snack time for her, but she's very good to come out and hang with me while I pick. And then she also is getting very good at identifying things like stinging nettle, so that she can avoid those herself and not, rub up against the nettle that causes your skin to itch and burn. And so when her friends come over to pick berries, she's good to take them on the tour and show them all of the plants that are going to make them itch or that are going to hurt them for a little while. And so she's good at helping me cook. She's good at the preservation side of things. She will help me package berries and package tomatoes to either sell to the restaurants or at the market, or to put away for our family. So
your children, including the youngest, Zaida Kate, who's 7, are all they're learning kind of practical economics. You could say home economics, but they're also seeing that economics is, that life is all about economics. It's about finding customers who need to be satisfied, who rightly expect certain things from the farm, the Burns Best farm where they're growing up. In what way are they free range children? We hear about free range chickens and free range cattle. Children are maybe tastier too if they can be free range. Talk about how farm life gives them an advantage, and maybe my listener can think how he might take these scenes from life at the Denise Burns farm to your own advantage.
Well, they do a lot of tree climbing. They do a lot of swinging in the tree swing. They walk in the creek. They catch small animals, or try to, if unsuccessful. My parents live next door, and they have a big, what we call the bamboo forest. So they spend time in hiding places that they've created for themselves. And I grew up that same way because my parents are on the same piece of property that my brother and I grew up on. And of course, we grew up in an era where we only had 3 channels, and we were the remote control if somebody wanted to change the TV from one channel to the other. So there wasn't a lot in the way of electronic entertainment to keep us inside. We wanted to try and recreate some of that. We're not Amish. Our kids still have some digital interface and some screen time every day, but I do think that they benefit greatly from the time that they spend outside, the time that they spend thinking about what they can grow or create or take to market. And all of my kids have a bent towards entrepreneurialism that I think comes from the fact that they have, for their whole life, or since at least Cooper was 8, we have planted seeds, plants have grown, and then we have picked what grows on that plant and turned around and sold it to somebody who is a willing participant in a mutually beneficial economic arrangement. And that's what we talk about. We're able to work that into what we watch on television that is news, both local and national. We talk about the economics of things because money is a very important part of life, and to lust after it or to follow it at no other consideration, obviously is spoken against in the Bible. But we need to learn to manage their expectations of how they can earn it and how they can help people live healthier and better lives, and turn that into a way that they can support their own families.
And how is home education, Denise Burns, part of that process? You don't send your children to, you might say, the factory school. You have confidence in your own competence. You have books. There are all kinds of free things that you can download in the way of educational materials. You've taken charge there as well. How is home education part of that process?
Well, I think it fosters in them a learn it yourself, do it yourself kind of focus or a mentality. And we, as the older boys have gotten older, I definitely reach out, and I have educational partners that I work with that help us on certain subjects. And I'm very thankful for those. We've done a lot of research and networking to be able to have those people in our lives. I don't think that, well, let me rephrase. They've definitely benefited from being home educated. I don't always think that the parent being the only teacher is the only way to go. I'm very much, I allow much more grace now on that subject than I did 10 years ago when this whole experiment started. But my kids, I think, have an entrepreneurial view on life. And if they, for instance, one of my kids has been interested in learning music, and there hasn't been enough family budget money for us to contract with a quality teacher in order for him to learn this particular instrument. And he has taken upon himself, since school's been out last month, to watch YouTube videos and to learn how to read music. And he has downloaded blank sheet music, and he's beginning to craft some of his own tunes on this particular instrument that he is seeking to teach himself. And all of this has been his own initiative. And he's learning the instrument. He's still got a long way to go on it, but it is a joy to hear his progress and to know that this has been something that he has done himself. He could be playing a game. He could be, shooting the breeze with his friends. He's learning something that he's going to enjoy. And at the same time, he's going to have that sense of accomplishment that he did it himself.
My listener wants to know the following question, Denise Burns. If he spends $1 at a food chain, a food store, and buys farm produce, or he spends $1 with you, what is the difference in the outflow of that money? Where does that money go if he buys something at a buy low, and where does it go if that $1 goes to purchasing foodstuffs from you and your husband, Mike?
Well, obviously at Bilo, they are staffing local people, and so they're paying local salaries and wages, and there is economic impact locally because of the people that they employ. But any profit above and beyond what's generated at the local store goes back to headquarters. And I'm not even sure, Red Food stores and Bilo have been bought so many times, I'm not even sure where corporate headquarters is. I think it might even be an internationally owned company. So that money is flowing up into a place where it's going to be spent. There may or may not be an additional store built in our area. They may or may not put in a distribution warehouse that's going to employ more people. If someone is buying food from us and we are able to show a profit at the end of the month or the end of the year or whatever season we happen to be in, then we take that money and we're going to hire a guitar teacher, or we're going to hire a piano teacher, or we're going to, be able to have dance lessons for somebody. We go to the local co-op to buy supplies for animals. We are able to reach out to non-GMO food suppliers in other parts of the country. Unfortunately, just because of our climate, and I guess, a couple of other factors, most of the non-GMO grains that we use to feed our pigs and chickens are grown in another part of the country. So we buy that in bulk. And if we buy it in big enough bulk, then we're able to turn around and offer to tack on orders for some of our smaller scale neighbors who would also like to have this good quality feed. So we turn around and we spend the money locally in our own community. And that means money goes into the pocket of that guitar teacher or that piano teacher or that dance instructor. And then he or she turns around and spends that money again locally, hopefully. And that builds a more self-sufficient system for us here. We're not having to depend on these goods and services coming from another part of the country. If we're worthy, if we're willing to pay enough, or if we're good enough to get it from another part of the country.
Is somehow our view about local economy just provincial? Is it narrow-minded? Is it insular? Or is there something really broad and great about local economy?
I think local economy is real and true, and there's not much real and true in the world anymore. I think large economy, it might look real, but it's a lot of it is an illusion, a very dangerous illusion.
Denise Burns, thanks for joining my listener and me here at Nuganomics.com.
You're welcome.
What's your number? How does my listener reach you?
My cell number is 770-402-7916. 770-402-7916.
Denise Burns and her husband Mike run Burns Best Farm in Ringgold in Catoosa County. They have 4 children. We've heard all about what they do. They have many chores. They're learning the free market. They're learning service to customer, service to buyer. My name is David Tulis, and our show is Nuganomics.com. I've got something I want you to hear. Hang on.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds. We'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240. Are you calling me Yeller?